Welcome to Motivated by Love, hosted by Reverend Sheila Z, a show designed for people who want to grow spirit, soul, and body, reaching into the Word of God to bring maturity and encouragement. Motivated by Love, hosted by Reverend Sheila Z, edifying God's people to be all that He created them to be.
Hi, Pastor Sheila Zellers with Motivated by Love Ministries. Thank you for taking time out of your day today to watch Motivated by Love. As always with Motivated by Love Ministries, we want to inform you about things that are happening around the world. And through this pandemic, many people have done amazing things. And right here in our local city, we have had a person that has stepped up to the call to help vulnerable children and senior citizens. And through this, many ministries and many outreaches have come out of Beverlys Angels. So today I would like to introduce you to a very special friend and a very giving community servant, Faith Schwalback. Welcome, Faith.
Thank you, Sheila. I appreciate this opportunity to be here today and for you to interview me. This has been a wonderful experience to get to know you through this pandemic, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, I want to tell the people that Beverlys Angels, the theme of it in its mission statement is simple. And I love that because it says, spreading love, gratitude, and kindness. And I want to add to our community and really to the world, because when you touch elderly and you touch seniors and children, you change the world. James 1:27 says in the Bible, it says that true and undefiled religion is to take care of widows and orphans. And today, widows and orphans do not look like they used to. Widows and orphans are so vulnerable and so, when the Bible wrote that in the New Testament, that was thousands of years ago. But today, there's orphans because dads have left them, moms have left them. There are senior citizens that are abandoned because they live thousands of miles away from their children and or they have broken relationships. And when I met Faith, Faith was taking food, cooked dinners that she was cooking herself, and then she gathered angels and they started feeding some of the most vulnerable. But I want to ask Miss Faith, when you left a lucrative job, you pandemic came and things shut down and things just happened like they did, but you were in the healthcare giving, you were giving healthcare to people and you were taking care of people. But how did you come to grow in 1 year's time? Amazing, exponentially, this nonprofit has just superseded, I think, anything that you ever thought that it was going to be. And now so many greater visions are even on the horizons. What made Faith, the woman that you are today, what brought you to a place that you founded a nonprofit called Beverlys Angels?
My mother at 75, she fell in our front driveway and she broke her hip. What took her to the hospital, she was sharp as a tack, and she had to have her hip replaced, and she never came out of the anesthesia. Her dementia started from that moment, and she suffered with it for the last 7.5 years of her life. Prior to that, my mom had some mental illnesses that she never addressed in her life, and she had complicated relationships with most everyone she had met in her life, especially her 3 children. She's very good at pitting the 3 of us against one another, always a triangular effect. And her dementia only heightened those issues that she had, so it became even more challenging. And I started Beverlys Angels because I wanted to she had goodness in her heart. She was an orphan. She was adopted herself, but her mother dropped her off at the hospital after she was born. She was in orphanage for months. So I later learned in life that missing period of time really did affect her and gave her grace. And so I started Beverlys Angels to help people like me that have moms that they're wonderful, but yet they're challenging and they're difficult for some of their daughters. So I wanted to have an avenue to where I could help others. And I started Beverlys Angels. Most people think to honor my mom. I started Beverlys Angels to heal myself. What I did not realize is I created a platform for others to heal themselves.
And finding that just exponentially there are so many hurting people out in the community that when they find a place where they can be healed, then they want to give back. And then, so tell me, how do you, when you meet these people and you start to help them, you're taking food. I've been with you, took people off the street and they connected all the dots to give them a new place to live. After living on the streets for years, you give them pots and pans and towels and all these things. But then you have a synergy about you that you can balance all these other organizations to come in and do greater works where they do the counseling and they do the different things.
Absolutely.
But how did you go from being someone who was preparing meals to now having taken over another nonprofit, family to family, correct?
Yes.
And now you're taking care of children, you're taking care of elderly, you're taking care of unwed mothers, you're taking care of single moms. I mean, there's just so much more to this than what it was. How did you go from being just someone who preparing food to all of a sudden a warehouse, 4 warehouses that have furniture to be able to give people furniture, beds to give people beds? How did you go from just fixing meals to this?
Well, actually, when COVID hit, Beverlys Angels started back in 2008, and we just went around and we spread love. We filled little niches in the community that no one else was filling. So we would take on these little projects, such as we did Valerie's House, which is a grief house for children. I learned from that, we had an angel that came on board that said, I want to sponsor this project. So we did the Little's Room for that project, and we created a whole scene of Under the Sea, and it gives them a space that they can go and process their own healing and get help and counseling. What I found was the angel that sponsored this lost her mom at the age of 5. Her dad immediately remarried, and she was never allowed to grieve her mother's death. Her stepmother was with her up until 2 years ago. She was not able to start the process of healing and grieving her mom until her stepmother had passed away. And by working on the project at Beverly's Angels through Valerie's House, it gave her the avenue to go through the grief process and help herself.
And I have to say, there's one thing I forgot to say about Miss Faith, is that she is a beautiful artist. She creates beautiful with fabrics, you can give her a pen and a brooch, and she can take and make something with fabric out of it that people want to go and look at and say, oh, wow, that is amazing. So when she does that, she has this artistic gift also, do you not?
Well, thank you very much. I love being creative in homes, at workplace, at someone's vacation home, at someone's place of work, someone to place art, events. I love to do those type of things, most definitely. But to get back to your original question, we had started Beverly's Angels to spread love and gratitude, and we did these different projects like Valerie's House, and we do backpacking for human trafficking, and it's all in honor of someone's mother. Beverly was my mom, and she would call my friends in the last years of her life, so hello, Angel. She knew she was supposed to know you, but she couldn't remember your name, so she would call you an angel. So that's how we naturally became Beverly's Angels.
How awesome.
And so it's not that just she is my angel, but she called people angels. So it was just a natural connection. So when I started the Angels, it really was to heal myself, and I found that I created a platform for others to heal. So we were just spreading little love and kindness. I was still doing my corporate thing, and then something called COVID-19 came around.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do good. We were still very small, even though we had angels that were volunteers, and I was concerned about food, and I was concerned about small businesses. So I reached out to the few angels that I had, and we started a program called Yummy Meals of Love. Yummy Meals of Love supported a small business or our local clubs. And we would purchase a meal that was frozen, that was a family style. Then our angels would go out and deliver them at no contact. At the first week in April of 2020, we delivered 20 21 meals. I reached out to the Alzheimer's Resource Center. I reached out to Family Kids Crisis Closet. I reached out to the Red Cross. I wanted to let people know that we were available. The second week, we doubled. The third week, we quadrupled. The fourth week, we were doing over 1,000 meals. In July, we delivered to over 5,000 households these yummy meals of love, along with groceries for a week for a family.
And produce also.
And produce, yes. Fresh produce, which fresh produce we later learned to people is like giving them a whole lot of money when you give them fresh produce.
And what I wanted to say about the deliveries, it's not about economics. It's not whether you are low income and that's who they deliver. No, they deliver to $1 million homes. They deliver to shut-ins,
absolutely,
cancer patients, invalid. You can't get out of your house. People who are vulnerable, like the elderly,
the autoimmune
disease, whatever it was. And listen, if you are listening and you're in our local area, if you know someone who would like to have this food delivered to them, they're still doing this. You can call. The phone number is 239-404-2082. You can also reach out to me at faith@beverlysangels.org. You can visit our website at www.beverlysangels.org. We want to help those that cannot at this moment get out for whatever health reasons. So we do help a lot of people that have dementia, that have cancers, that have an autoimmune disease. It does not matter if you're able to afford to go out for yourself. It's if you are not able to because of this crisis and this pandemic. We want people to know that we are here for you, we see you, and we want to have that human contact even when we drop off and our little angels wear their apron and they ring the doorbell. We want you to know that we see you, that we love you, and that we care for you. Now, I would like to ask, and maybe someone's wondering, where do you find your angels?
Well, angels, they can reach out to me through the website. A lot of them are word to mouth. We started out with a core group of 5 angels. We now have 124 active angels, but we are always looking for more as there is so much need in this community right now that we could take thousands of angels.
Wait a minute. We live in Collier County, one of the richest places. The need isn't about money, is it? It's about the necessity to be able not to go out to get something. It's about being vulnerable, correct?
Absolutely. We have one of our seniors that we've been helping with since the beginning of the pandemic who has dementia. And she has had some difficulties lately. She fell and she thought that she was going to be moving back to her daughters. So she sold everything, she says, but she really got rid of everything. And so when I went into her apartment, she just had a chair left. So we immediately refurnished her apartment because of her mental illness and her disease. She thought one thing, but it was not the reality. So we do help people that need help
now you
financially.
Help them, but those furnishings were donated by someone else, and you furnished their homes for them.
There is absolutely no charge to anybody that we help.
For food, for furniture, for any.
Absolutely no charge.
Say it again.
There is absolutely no charge. There is no fee. We help pregnant women. We give them diapers. We get them clothing. Any basic necessity that somebody needs for their house or for their car or for their tummy, we provide all at no charge to them.
And that's Beverly's Angels. Now listen, you can be a part of this by donations. What donations? We know that money always is a great donation, but sometimes if you're local, what is Beverly's Angels in need of right now?
Well, Beverly's Angels is a 501c3 nonprofit. We received our status December, Christmas Eve, 2019. And due to the generosity of Tammy Ford, one of the things that we have been looking for is a delivery vehicle. And we are so excited to have taken the next step that they are providing us a delivery van coming very soon in the next 2 weeks.
About a few weeks.
And so we were raising funds for that, but then they came on board and wanted to generously help us. So we're very grateful for that. At the moment, we have so many people in need that we are in need for more warehouse space. That is something that we're raising funds for now. Most of our goods come to us donated, but our food program needs funding. As people think that there's less need out there, there's actually more need than there was at the beginning of this pandemic. pandemic. So
because of loss of jobs.
Job loss.
All these things. And I don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry I did interrupt you, but I want to just make sure that everyone knows this, that when Beverlys Angels is doing this, the team, it takes a village. It takes a village.
Absolutely.
I want to mention St. Matt's and their food. They've been so wonderful to you. If you don't know who St. Matt's of Naples is, it's a recovery center, and they just are wonderful. But Faith, I want to say, and I've said this to my husband, I said this to our friends, I don't think I've seen anyone from 2018, but let's just go to March 2020, that exponentially you have stayed faithful. Faith is faithful. I love that play on that word. But you have stayed faithful, but you have raised an army of angels. And when she has a purpose, and she really is for that purpose, and she has that vision, she's like a dog with a big old steak bone, and she's going to get it done for those who are vulnerable, for those who are needy, and those who sometimes are less fortunate, but sometimes those who are greatly fortunate, but because they can't get out. And whether we believe it or whether you believe it or not, the pandemic is still in full thrust. And I don't know how long the effects of the pandemic is going to carry on. So what the reason I said that is when she knows that she has a knower from God in her heart to do something, she doesn't let no's get in the way.
Absolutely not.
And that's a compliment. I don't know what
Well, I have found, with my personality of not saying no, that can come across sometimes as different than it's intended to be. But I have found that, as my husband says, I spell fun, W-I-N. And I found with both these organizations that I now run, that is a quality that helps our community. It helps my angels have purpose, and it gives hope to people that really need hope.
And Pastor Grant Thigpen from New Hope Ministries, he always spells ministry or servanthood, W-O-R-K. It takes work, it takes funds, and it takes faith.
Absolutely.
And when you have those three things together, you're going to see something come great. I will tell you what she has done, I haven't been able to do. So whenever I see someone doing a greater work, I want to be a part of that greater. And I got my Beverlys Angels, and I should have worn that today. I've got my apron, and I've went with them a few times, and I have delivered food. I've been part with Motivated by Love. We fed children, 700 children a week. We took food to their front doors and left it because they did not have a car to drive to get to a school to pick up their food. And so I had a different avenue, but Faith also, when I couldn't get food, we made a phone call and Faith got us food, and that food went on for 3 or 4 or 5 months until the kids went back to school. So she loves to work with others nonprofits to get everybody who is in need, their needs to be met. Now I want to ask you, but you have a mascot. Now I want to go back to one quick thing, because you said you did this to honor your mother. But your mother and you didn't have a great relationship all the way through your whole life.
Correct.
And you needed the healing that you needed. In this process of time, I know you're busy and you're a doer, you're a worker bee, but where do you feel that God has brought you from the time of your mother's death to the time of Beverlys Angels being founded? Today, what do you see Faith as today, as the woman she was in 2018, here in 2021?
I would have to go back to 10 days prior to my mother passing. I had a conversation with a very dear friend, Tom O'Reilly. And we were having a conversation, and I was talking about how when I was younger, I wanted to be in this parade. And we were a single mom. I was a latchkey kid. And I wanted to march in this parade, but we didn't have the funds. But my mom was a seamstress. And she duplicated the outfit, and she went to the organization, and I was allowed to march in this little parade. It would be equivalent to like a Golden Gate parade here. It wasn't a big city, but to me it was marching in the Macy's Day Parade. And Tom said how talented she was to take something without a pattern, without the proper materials, and duplicate it. And in that moment, I saw my mom in a different light. I saw that she really did love me, and she really was only doing her best. She just the methods she went about it weren't good for me, but I understood then her unconditional love. I went to see her right after that. I had a non-communicative exchange because at that time she had stopped her motor skills. And I touched her, and I told her how much I loved her and how I knew that what she meant to me and how much she loved me. And I could feel the weight of the world go off from her. And she looked at me and she said, "I love you." And it's the last words she ever said.
What a gift.
So if I go to 10 days prior to her death, I was angry, I was bitter, I wasn't happy. Now I feel so much joy, so much happiness, so much fulfillment. I give myself purpose, I give other people purpose, on top of, in this community, providing good for people of all socioeconomic classes.
Amazing. And I would be remiss if I did not mention your handsome husband.
I feel like I'm on Barbara Walters right now, though. You know, she got me to cry.
I'm gonna take you to it. I'm gonna take you to a different place. I'm gonna get you to smile because you and your beautiful husband, and he is your biggest fan.
He is the love of my life.
And the love of your life, but he's your biggest fan.
Well, like you.
30 years?
31 years.
31 years.
Like he's a high school sweetheart. He was a band captain. I was the flag corps captain. We started dating on my sweet 16th birthday party. We have been together ever since.
Tim and I, 16. We met when we were 16.
Yeah, we were 16. Yeah. So he is the love of my life. He inspires me. He like my dad, thinks that I can do anything, and sometimes he just stands out of the way because he knows that it's just not worth saying no because I'm just going to go.
Hurricane faith is coming.
but a sweet one. The one that does no damage but changes the air and the environment.
Changes the atmosphere. Yes.
But I would like to take this opportunity, since I am here, to ask you a question, Miss Sheila.
Oh, so this is a surprise.
Sheila was a part of our welcome home package when we place someone that has recently been homeless. We go in and we provide goods for them. And Sheila was a part of this. And you really seem to have a moving experience from that. And I'd like you to describe in your words how it was when you put your Beverlys Angels apron on and you were a part of 10 other women that went into this home for this gentleman, and we went in and we set up his house. What was that experience like for you?
Well, I have to say Milton was his name. And when Milton stood in the middle of his home, his apartment, that the Homeless Coalition, along with Faith and Beverlys Angels, got for Milton. My dad had been an alcoholic till I was 14. I didn't know my dad's sober. And he never lived on the streets. He was a working alcoholic. But when I had the opportunity to remember that I had a brother who had passed away from opioids and just an overdose. But I remember when he was out in the woods and we used to take him food and we'd leave him food. And we'd have to meet him, and we couldn't let him come in the house because he would steal, and so you couldn't let the addict in the house. And I was just a young teenager. For me to get to experience watching someone who'd been on the streets, I think Milton said 10 years he had been on the streets, and he was from my hometown of Plant City, where my parents lived in Plant City early in my life. Watching that person go from homeless to hopeful. He got a home, but you watch the hopefulness come across him. And when he realized that we, 10 women, had towels, we had washcloths, we had garbage bags, we had mattresses, sofas coming, but that time we just set up his whole kitchen, and he had pots and pans and food and water and we got peanut butter, stuff that we just take for granted. He was just standing there, honestly, with tears rolling down his face. And when he walked in and he realized we weren't just giving him a place to walk in and there was empty place, that he was going to have. And he was going to have a home, a hopeful home. And he ended up coming to our church and still has been coming to our church because he lives right down the street. It was one of the most, for me, it was one of the most gratifying things. I turned around and I looked at you, did I not? Mm-hmm. And I said, it's like redemption. This is one of the most gratifying things I've ever done. I was never, we moved many times. We were never homeless. We never had to live in a car, and we never had a place where we had to be on the streets. But if it wasn't for the grace of God, I could have been. And because what they did, what Beverlys Angels did, God made a way for Milton that nobody had done for him in 10 years. Nobody had been able to get it done. And he's still there, and he's still working, and he got a job. I mean, just amazing. You've done that also for another lady. I wasn't there for that one, but you did that for another lady who'd lived in her car for years.
Yes, she'd lived for, she has a roommate now. We have another placement that we're about to do, a young lady that has been abused and has gone through the program for the last year and a half. She's about to be placed and have our welcome home package. So it's very gratifying when you take a bouquet of flowers to somebody's front door and you say welcome home to them, and they fall to their knees because they now have a place that's just theirs.
It's amazing. So I want one last, we only have 1 minute. You have to tell me about this little guy sitting here. Who is this guy?
Oh, well, this is Benny. Benny is our mascot. He spreads love, kindness, and gratitude wherever he goes. He has been given to over 1,000 children over Christmas. We also sponsored Nocia Daycare Center, and we gave Christmas presents to all of them. In total, it was 687 children. So we had gotten Benny because we had wanted somebody to be a part of our package for Christmas, and we have found that Benny is the perfect mascot, and that's how it evolved. Everything with Beverlys Angels has just been organic. We started from nothing. We still are a zero-based budget nonprofit, but we are doing good. We're the little engine that's becoming the freight train.
So if you would like to make a donation to Beverlys Angels, just go to beverlysangels.org. You can make a donation there. Go to their Facebook, their Instagram. You can find out more. You will want to be a part of this. If you're local, we can use donations of funds, but also of products. But remember, there is vulnerable seniors, there's vulnerable people and children that need you today, and you can help through Beverlys Angels. Hi, thank you for joining us today. Yes, Jesus does know your name. There's more encouraging words if you would like to go to Facebook. That's where I do a live 10-minute motivational moment on a daily basis. Please find us there, visit us, Instagram, all the social platforms, but most of all, if you need more of Motivated by Love, go to YouTube, and you can find us there at the Motivated by Love YouTube station, and you can see all the past shows. You will be so blessed. Any subject you're looking for, any encouragement you need, you will find it, and you will learn, and you will operate in more of God's love to be truly motivated by love.
Sheila's from God, a devotional filled with practical yet inspirational teachings and real-life experiences with real-word application which will encourage the reader. Order your copy today at Amazon.com or motivatedbylove.org.
If Motivated by Love, hosted by Reverend Sheila Z, has been a blessing to you, you can make a tax-exempt donation at motivatedbylove.org or write MBL Ministries, 3485 Mercantile Avenue, Naples, Florida, 34104. For prayer, call 239-325-2740. That's 239-325-2740.